welcome to Hartley Live. We're just going to wait a minute or so while a few more people might connect in. While we're waiting, we're right out here at Eddy Lake. This is a man-made lake that was dug out when Hartley was first started in 1975. And you might hear a number of Canada geese are out here on the lake. They've been calling all along. We just had a hawk fly in here, a pileated woodpecker fly over, and actually there's been a leopard frog and a tree frog calling just while we've been waiting here for everybody. We're out here on the deck that goes into Eddy Lake. This is where a lot of times the kids, we bring them here and do some dipping for organisms in the water during our wetlands class. And a lot of red-winged blackbirds, often they nest right here in the cattails. So. All right, well, first of all, welcome everybody. I hope you're staying safe out there. And today is Endangered Species Day, so it's a special day throughout the world that endangered species are learned about, programs going on about, and that's why we want to do Endangered Species Day today, because actually this is the 15th anniversary and this is May 15th, so it works out really good. Now there's actually 4 levels of endangered species or species status throughout the world. Actually the lowest level, where there's a few populations and they're doing okay, it's called special concern. And actually, if you might have seen our turtle maybe a couple weeks ago, that species, which is a box turtle, is a species of special concern. Anything could wipe out the whole population, whether it's weather or humans. Another level after the species of special concern is the threatened species. That means there's less numbers in their population, and again, if anything happens, they're in peril of becoming endangered. And that's where we're at today, is endangered. Endangered means one little thing for a small population would definitely wipe it out for extinction. And that's definitely not what we want, because extinction means never found on the earth again. And a number of animals have gone extinct throughout the timeline of the world. So, now why do animals become endangered? Well, there's a number of reasons. One is populations get taken from the wild, mostly by humans. That's called over-harvesting, and that lowers the population to sometimes numbers that can't recover themselves. Another one is pollution. Humans are the polluters of the world, and when there's pollution in the environment, that affects all animals and plants. And the last and probably most important is habitat loss. When they lose their habitat, there's nowhere else to go. And so that's why it's important to protect habitats especially. Now, I've actually brought a friend here today. Now this happens to be a wood frog. Wood frogs are brownish in color, as you can kind of see up against my hand there. They blend in with the leaves and dirts of the woods, because that's actually where they are found. They actually have that black robber-like mask and a little whitish line above their upper lip. Now wood frogs are actually pretty cool because they're actually the frog that is found highest north of any frog. They're actually found all the way up to Alaska and into the Arctic Circle. And they can do that because they have a little bit of what they produce, antifreeze. So they can actually freeze themselves and thaw themselves, which makes them quite amazing. So now this guy actually caught in a vernal pond right here on the Hartley property. And vernal ponds are ponds that are there in the spring and then gone by summertime. And that's what vernal means, springtime. So that's a little bit about the wood frog. Now, why talk about a frog? And in fact, that wood frog is fine. Its population is doing good. It's not a special concern, threatened, or endangered species. This is actually doing well. But why talk about frogs is because frogs are the #1 group of animals in the world that are threatened, endangered, special concern more than any other group of animals. Not mammals, birds, anything like that. Amphibians are the #1. And so they're actually losing their habitats and populations at an alarming rate. In fact, of the 7,000 species of amphibians in the world, about 40% are in trouble, and that's not a good thing. They're actually indicator species of trouble too. When a frog or a salamander is disappearing from its environment, that lets you know that something is going wrong. In fact, they're often called the canaries of the outdoor world. You've heard of the canary in the coal mine. This is the canary of the environment. So, now I also want to talk a little bit about some Michigan endangered species that we actually have mounted specimens of here at Hartley. In fact, in order to have these mounted specimens that I'm going to show you very shortly, we have to have an extra special permit from the Department of Natural Resources to allow us to have these special specimens. So the first one I want to talk about is called the short-eared owl. And actually, owls don't really have ears that stick out of their head. They actually have ear holes on the sides of their head. Now, these discs around their eyes allow the sound to get funneled into the holes on the sides of their head. But this one is called the short-eared owl. And it does fly low over the fields, especially fields that haven't been mowed or cut for a number of years, especially if a farmer is doing some crop rotation and letting that field just sit for a while. They actually are flying low over the fields, and they're looking for rodents. That's their #1 prey. Prey is rodents, yeah. Then they're often seen at dusk and dawn. So you can actually drive out in some open fields or near your houses and go and see if you can see some short-eared owls flying low over the fields. The next one I want to show you is this barn owl. Now, barn owls are called barn owls because they actually would live in barns. But they also will live in old buildings or abandoned buildings and big trees that are hollow. You know, especially this one, you can especially see those discs around its eyes that funnel the sound right into its ears. Now, again, these are flying low over the fields in the evenings, and often people think that, people think there's ghosts out there sometimes because they're seeing barn owls flying around. Now, this barn owls haven't been nesting in Michigan for a number of years, so this is an especially endangered animal here in Michigan. Now, barn owls, actually, when they're flying around at night, this is a sound that they make. So you can imagine, again, you're walking or out at nighttime, going out to the barn maybe from your farm, and all of a sudden you see a white thing flying around with a screeching sound like that. That would be pretty scary. Oh, in fact, also barn owls are the #1 owl found throughout the whole world. They are found in every continent except for Antarctica, which is quite amazing. The last mounted specimen I want to show you is called a king rail. Now, king rails are found in marshes, and again, the #1 problem with king rails is their habitat loss. A lot of times marshes or wetlands get filled in or get built upon, and that affects the habitat of the king rail. They're almost never seen, but sometimes are heard. In fact, here's the call of a king rail. That's what it does. It makes some calling sounds like that, and out in the marshes. So it also has these big feet, so it can walk on the floating vegetation or aquatic vegetation that is found in the marshes or in its habitat. Now, what can you do to help endangered species? Now, first of all, just by watching this program today, you're participating in Endangered Species Day. And in fact, like I said, there are events all over the world happening today. And what you could do too is maybe go find an endangered species that you want to learn more about and go look that up or discover more about it. In fact, you can even pick one of the species that I mentioned right here today. You can also there's a number of websites on endangered species that will tell you information about them, and I might post those later on Facebook after the program. Also, if you have any questions or comments, make sure you post those to our Facebook page, and I'll be happy to answer those at any time. So what I want you to do now is also, you can go out at night and listen for frogs and toads. In fact, here at Hartley, that's what we do. We do the Frog and Toad Survey, where we go out listening on certain nights throughout the year. In fact, it's already happened once, and that is, you can go back to our Facebook page about a month ago, where I've posted some sounds of some frogs that we actually heard that night. I'll be doing another one here pretty soon, and then there will be one more. Now that data gets sent into the Department of Natural Resources, and they use that data to determine whether populations are going up, down, or staying the same. In Michigan, only 3 frogs are either threatened or special concern. So our frogs are actually doing pretty good here in Michigan. So get outdoors, be safe, and I hope you enjoyed the program, and check back next week when we have another Hartley Live program.